Human beings are inherently social creatures. We are born with a fundamental and powerful drive to connect with others. This need for connection is not a weakness or a luxury. It's a core part of our biology, essential for our survival and well-being from the moment we enter the world. Think of a newborn infant completely dependent on a caregiver not just for food and shelter, but for comfort, safety, and emotional warmth. This primal bond is our first experience of what it means to be in a relationship. This deep, enduring emotional connection that provides us with a sense of security and stability is known as attachment. It's the invisible thread that ties us to the people who matter most, shaping our sense of self and our view of the world around us. This concept of attachment is central to understanding the intricate dance of all our close interpersonal relationships. The theory, first developed by the pioneering British psychologist John Bowlby, has become a cornerstone of modern psychology. Bowlby proposed that our earliest bonds with caregivers create a blueprint for how we relate to others throughout our lives. These early experiences teach us what to expect from people, whether they are a reliable source of comfort or a cause for anxiety. They form the foundation upon which we build all future connections, from our closest friendships to our most intimate romantic partnerships. Understanding this foundation is the first step toward understanding ourselves. Later, the work of researcher Mary Ainsworth expanded upon Bowlby's ideas, providing empirical evidence for these profound truths. Through her famous strange situation experiment, she observed how young children behaved when separated from and then reunited with their caregivers. These observations revealed distinct, predictable patterns of connection. These patterns are what we now call attachment styles. They are the unconscious strategies we learn in our youth to navigate the world of relationships, to get our needs met, and to protect ourselves from emotional harm. These styles act as a sort of internal compass, guiding our interactions and influencing how we seek and experience closeness as adults. These foundational patterns play a crucial and often unseen role in our adult lives, particularly within the context of romantic relationships. Your attachment style influences how you approach intimacy, how you handle conflict, and how you manage dependency and emotional expression. It can dictate whether you feel comfortable getting close to a partner or if you feel a persistent need to maintain your distance. It shapes whether you trust easily or live with a constant fear of abandonment. By exploring these styles, we can begin to unravel the complex dynamics that unfold in our most significant relationships, bringing clarity to patterns that may have previously felt confusing or overwhelming. This video will serve as an in-depth guide, providing a comprehensive overview of the 4 primary attachment styles that have been identified through decades of research. We will explore each one in detail, beginning with the secure attachment style, which is characterized by a comfort with both intimacy and independence. We will then delve into the 3 insecure styles, anxious-preoccupied, dismissive-avoidant, and the more complex fearful-avoidant, which is also known as disorganized attachment. Each style represents a unique way of seeing oneself, others, and the nature of relationships themselves. Gaining a clear understanding of these distinct categories is essential for anyone seeking to improve their connections. For each of these 4 styles, we will examine its likely origins in early childhood experiences. We will look at how different caregiving environments, whether consistently responsive, inconsistently available, emotionally distant, or frightening, can lead to the development of a particular attachment strategy. We will then outline the key characteristics and behaviors associated with each style in adulthood. This exploration will illuminate why some people crave constant reassurance, why others push intimacy away, and why some seem to be caught in a confusing cycle of wanting closeness while simultaneously fearing it. This knowledge can foster tremendous empathy, both for ourselves and for our partners. Beyond just defining the styles, we will investigate their profound impact on the dynamics of romantic partnerships. We will uncover how these patterns influence everything from communication and conflict resolution to emotional regulation and trust. Understanding your own attachment style, as well as that of your partner, can be a transformative experience. It allows you to see beneath the surface of behaviors and arguments, to understand the underlying needs and fears that are driving the interaction. This insight is not about placing blame. It is about creating a map of your inner world and the inner world of your partner, so you can navigate your relationship with greater skill and compassion. Ultimately, the purpose of this exploration is not simply academic. The goal is to provide practical knowledge and pathways toward building healthier, more fulfilling relational patterns. While our attachment styles are formed in our early years, they are not rigid, unchangeable destinies. They can evolve through conscious effort, self-awareness, and new relational experiences. This video will touch upon how we can move toward what is known as earned security, developing the qualities of a secure attachment style, even if our early life did not provide that foundation. Understanding attachment is a powerful tool for personal growth and for creating the deeply connected relationships we all desire. The story of attachment theory begins in the mid-20th century with the groundbreaking work of John Bowlby. A British psychologist and psychoanalyst, Bowlby was deeply interested in the profound distress he observed in children who had been separated from their parents. He proposed a revolutionary idea for his time, that the need for a child to form a secure emotional bond with their primary caregiver was not just a sentimental notion, but a fundamental evolutionary necessity. This powerful drive, he argued, is an ingrained survival mechanism. It ensures that a vulnerable child stays physically close to a caregiver, who provides protection from danger, nourishment, and crucial comfort. This attachment system is as vital to our psychological development as food and water are to our physical survival. Bowlby's theory suggested that these early experiences with our caregivers do more than just keep us safe in the moment. They actively shape our internal working models. These models are essentially mental blueprints or representations of the self and of others. From our first interactions, we begin to form core beliefs about our own worthiness of love and care. We also develop expectations about whether other people are generally trustworthy, responsive, and reliable. These internal working models become the lens through which we view all future relationships. They operate largely outside of our conscious awareness, quietly guiding our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors in our interactions with friends, family, and romantic partners throughout our lives. This was a departure from the prevailing psychological theories of the time, which often downplayed the importance of real-life relational experiences. Bowlby emphasized that the quality of the caregiving a child receives is paramount in shaping their future emotional health. A caregiver who is consistently warm, sensitive, and responsive to a child's needs helps to build a model of the self as valuable and of others as dependable. Conversely, a caregiver who is inconsistent, rejecting, or absent teaches the child a different lesson. This child may learn that they are not worthy of consistent care, or that others cannot be counted on for support, setting the stage for later relational difficulties. Bowlby's work laid the essential groundwork for understanding attachment as a lifelong process. He identified the attachment bond as a primary motivational system, distinct from the drives for food or sex. He saw the intense emotions that accompany the formation, maintenance, and disruption of these bonds, like joy, sorrow, and anger, as normal and adaptive responses. This perspective validated the deep emotional significance of our closest connections. It provided a powerful framework for understanding why the threat of separation or loss can feel so destabilizing. It was the first step in creating a scientific language to describe the invisible, powerful ties that bind us to one another from the cradle to the grave. While John Bowlby provided the foundational theory, it was his colleague, the American-Canadian developmental psychologist Mary Ainsworth, who provided the empirical evidence to support it. Ainsworth expanded Bowlby's work through meticulous observational research. Her most famous contribution is the strange situation experiment, a standardized procedure developed in the 1970s to assess the quality of attachment between infants and their caregivers. This elegantly simple yet profoundly insightful study would revolutionize our understanding of relational patterns. The experiment involved placing a child, typically around 1 year of age, in an unfamiliar playroom and observing their behavior through a series of brief separations and reunions with their caregiver and a stranger. The core of the strange situation was not how the child reacted to the separation itself, as distress is a natural response. Instead, Ainsworth focused on the child's behavior during the reunion with the caregiver. It was in these critical moments of reconnection that the distinct patterns of attachment became clear. She observed 3 primary styles. Some infants, upon their caregiver's return, sought comfort, were easily soothed, and quickly returned to exploration. These children were classified as having a secure attachment. They used their caregiver as a secure base from which to explore the world and as a safe haven in times of distress, demonstrating trust and confidence in the relationship. Ainsworth also identified two forms of insecure attachment. One group of infants, classified as insecure-avoidant, showed little to no distress upon separation and actively avoided or ignored the caregiver upon their return. They seemed to defensively suppress their need for connection, having learned that expressing their needs might lead to rejection. Another group, classified as insecure, anxious, or resistant, became extremely distressed by the separation. Upon the caregiver's return, they displayed ambivalent behavior, simultaneously seeking and resisting contact, often appearing angry and difficult to soothe. This pattern reflected their uncertainty about whether their caregiver would be available or responsive to their needs. Later, researchers Main and Solomon identified a fourth attachment category by studying tapes of strange situation experiments that did not fit neatly into Ainsworth's original three classifications. This pattern was termed disorganized or fearful-avoidant. These infants displayed a confusing mix of contradictory behaviors. They might freeze, rock back and forth, or approach their caregiver only to suddenly pull away in fear. This pattern was often linked to caregivers who were themselves a source of fright, such as in cases of abuse or unresolved trauma. These foundational studies provided the scientific basis for the attachment styles that we now apply to understanding adult relationships, revealing how deeply our earliest bonds carve the pathways for our future connections. Let me pause for a moment. If you are already finding this content helpful, I would appreciate your support by liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and sharing it with anyone whom you feel could benefit. Now, back to our topic. The first and most adaptive of the four patterns is known as secure attachment. Individuals with a secure attachment style generally hold a positive view of themselves and a positive view of others. They operate from a place of fundamental trust, believing that they are worthy of love and that others are capable of providing it. This inner security allows them to be comfortable with both intimacy and autonomy. They can draw close to a partner without losing their sense of self, and they can be independent without shutting others out. This style is considered the healthiest because it fosters resilience, emotional balance, and the capacity for deep, meaningful connection. It is the bedrock upon which stable and satisfying relationships are built. The origins of secure attachment are typically found in early childhood experiences with consistent and responsive caregiving. When a child's primary caregivers are emotionally available, attuned, and dependable, the child learns a powerful lesson. They learn that when they are distressed, someone will come to comfort them. They learn that their needs are valid and will be met with care. This consistent responsiveness builds a secure internal working model. The child internalizes the belief that the world is a safe place, that others are trustworthy, and that they themselves are valuable. This early foundation of safety and reliability becomes the blueprint for how they approach relationships throughout their entire life. In adult romantic relationships, a securely attached person exhibits a range of healthy behaviors. They are comfortable with closeness and interdependence, viewing their partner as a trusted friend and ally. They are capable of expressing their emotions, needs, and desires openly and honestly, and they can listen to their partner's feelings with empathy and understanding. When conflict arises, as it inevitably does, they do not panic or shut down. Instead, they approach disagreements as problems to be solved collaboratively. They trust their partner and are responsive to their needs, creating a reciprocal dynamic of mutual care and support. This emotional regulation allows them to navigate challenges without becoming overwhelmed by jealousy or fear of abandonment. This style is not about being perfect or being in a relationship devoid of problems. Rather, it is about having a fundamental resilience and a toolkit for navigating those problems effectively. Secure individuals can tolerate the natural ebbs and flows of intimacy. They can give their partner space when needed and seek closeness when they desire it, all without their core sense of self being threatened. According to various studies, approximately 50 to 60% of adults in Western cultures display the characteristics of a secure attachment style. They possess an inner sense of peace that allows them to build relationships that are not just about survival, but about mutual growth and shared joy. The second attachment style is known as anxious-preoccupied. Individuals with this style often feel a deep craving for closeness and intimacy, but this desire is paired with a persistent fear of rejection and abandonment. Their internal working model is often characterized by a negative view of themselves and a positive view of others. They may believe they are not truly worthy of love, while idealizing their partners as their source of security and self-worth. This imbalance creates a chronic need for reassurance and validation from their relationships. They can feel incomplete or anxious when they are not in a close partnership, making the pursuit and maintenance of a relationship the central focus of their lives. This attachment pattern frequently develops from a childhood history of inconsistent caregiving. The caregiver may have been available and loving at times, but unresponsive, distracted, or intrusive at others. This unpredictability creates deep anxiety for a child. They learn that love and attention are not guaranteed and must be actively sought, often through heightened emotional displays. Because the caregiver's response is so unreliable, the child feels a constant need to monitor their caregiver's mood and behavior, becoming highly attuned to any sign of potential withdrawal or disapproval. This vigilance and the desperate need for connection become ingrained strategies that carry over into their adult relationships. In romantic partnerships, the anxious-preoccupied style manifests in several distinct behaviors. These individuals are highly sensitive to their partner's cues and can interpret neutral or ambiguous actions as signs of rejection. This can lead to frequent misunderstandings and emotional distress. They are often prone to jealousy and may exhibit behaviors that seem clingy or demanding as they try to secure the closeness they desperately need. They frequently seek reassurance, asking, "Do you love me?" or needing constant proof of their partner's commitment. Despite this, they often have difficulty truly trusting that their partner's love is stable and unwavering, living with an undercurrent of fear that they will eventually be left behind. The emotional experience of someone with an anxious-preoccupied style can be a roller coaster of intense highs and lows. When they feel connected and reassured by their partner, they may experience profound joy and relationship satisfaction. However, during times of conflict or perceived distance, their anxiety can skyrocket, leading to intense emotional reactions. While their deep desire for intimacy can lead to very passionate and close bonds, their underlying insecurity can also create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The constant need for reassurance and the fear of abandonment can, over time, overwhelm a partner and inadvertently push them away, confirming their deepest fears about being unlovable. In stark contrast to the anxious style, we find the dismissive-avoidant attachment style. This pattern is defined by a strong sense of self-reliance, emotional distance, and a marked reluctance to depend on others. These individuals tend to have a positive self-image but a negative or cynical view of others, particularly in the context of close relationships. They often see intimacy as a threat to their independence and freedom. Connection is not viewed as a source of comfort, but rather as something that could lead to being controlled, burdened, or enmeshed. They pride themselves on not needing anyone, creating a protective fortress around their emotions to maintain their autonomy at all costs. This attachment style typically emerges from a caregiving environment that was emotionally distant, rejecting, or overly focused on encouraging premature independence. The child may have had caregivers who were physically present but emotionally unavailable, consistently discouraging displays of emotion or needs for comfort. In this environment, the child learns that expressing vulnerability or seeking closeness does not result in a positive response. In fact, it may lead to rejection or criticism. To cope, they learn to suppress their natural attachment needs. They adapt by becoming highly self-sufficient, turning off their desire for connection in order to avoid the pain of repeated disappointment. In their adult romantic relationships, dismissive-avoidant individuals are often uncomfortable with emotional closeness. They may feel suffocated when a partner tries to get too close or makes emotional demands. They tend to avoid expressing their own vulnerability and can be dismissive of their partner's emotional needs, struggling to empathize with feelings they have learned to suppress in themselves. To maintain distance, they may prioritize work, hobbies, or other solitary pursuits over the relationship. They often downplay the importance of romantic attachment altogether, insisting that relationships are not a major priority in their lives. This is a defensive posture designed to protect them from the dependency they fear. While dismissive-avoidant individuals may appear confident and self-sufficient on the surface, their avoidance often masks a deep, unacknowledged fear of intimacy and rejection. True dependency feels terrifying, so they preemptively decide they do not need it. Their partners often feel lonely, emotionally neglected, or shut out, as if they are constantly knocking on a door that will never open. The dismissive avoidant's greatest challenge is learning that true strength includes the capacity for vulnerability, and that healthy interdependence does not mean a loss of self, but rather an expansion of it. Their journey involves dismantling the fortress they have so carefully built. The fourth and most complex pattern is the fearful-avoidant attachment style, also known as disorganized attachment. This style embodies a profound internal conflict. Individuals with a fearful-avoidant style simultaneously desire intimacy and are terrified of it. They have not formed a consistent, organized strategy for getting their needs met. Instead, they are caught in a confusing push-pull dynamic, driven by a deep-seated belief that the very people they want to get close to will inevitably hurt them. They struggle immensely with trust, self-worth, and emotional regulation, making their inner world and their relationships feel chaotic and unstable. This attachment style is most commonly associated with a history of trauma, abuse, severe neglect, or loss in childhood. The caregiver, who is supposed to be a source of safety and comfort, is also a source of fear or pain. This creates an impossible and irresolvable dilemma for the child. The biological drive to seek comfort from a caregiver clashes directly with the survival instinct to flee from a source of danger. The child has no organized way to respond. This internal chaos leads to disorganized behaviors. They might freeze, seem dissociated, or display a confusing mix of anxious and avoidant strategies. This lack of a coherent model for relationships becomes their template for life. In their adult romantic relationships, fearful-avoidant individuals often exhibit contradictory and unpredictable behaviors. They may desperately want a loving connection, but as soon as a partner gets close, their fear takes over, causing them to pull away, sabotage the relationship, or lash out. Their emotional landscape is often marked by high reactivity and dramatic mood swings, oscillating between intense neediness and angry withdrawal. This makes it incredibly difficult for them to maintain consistent closeness. They struggle deeply with trusting their partners, often assuming the worst and bracing for betrayal, even when there is no evidence for it. Their behavior can be baffling to both themselves and their partners. The impact of this style is one of intense inner turmoil and relational instability. Fearful-avoidant individuals often find themselves in tumultuous or even abusive relationships that sadly mirror the dynamics of their childhood. The push-pull cycle of wanting connection and then fearing it prevents them from ever feeling truly safe or secure with a partner. Their journey toward healing is often the most challenging, as it requires confronting deep-seated trauma and learning to build a sense of safety from within. It involves slowly learning that it is possible to trust others without being harmed, and that they are worthy of a love that is stable, gentle, and kind. Understanding these 4 attachment styles is far more than an academic exercise. It is a practical tool for decoding the hidden language of our most important relationships. These patterns, secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful, are the invisible forces that shape our interactions, drive our conflicts, and determine our capacity for intimacy. When you can identify these styles in yourself and in your partner, you gain a new lens through which to view your relationship dynamics. Behaviors that once seemed confusing, hurtful, or random begin to make sense. You can see the underlying fear behind an avoidant partner's withdrawal, or the deep need for reassurance behind an anxious partner's clinginess. This knowledge is the first step toward creating conscious change. Without this awareness, we are destined to repeat the same patterns, caught in cycles of miscommunication and emotional pain. An anxious person might endlessly pursue an avoidant person, triggering a painful dance of pursuit and retreat that leaves both partners feeling frustrated and unseen. A fearful-avoidant individual might sabotage every chance at happiness, unable to reconcile their desire for love with their terror of it. Recognizing these patterns allows you to step out of the automatic, reactive cycle. It empowers you to ask, what is my attachment system trying to do right now, and is it actually serving me? Furthermore, understanding attachment fosters profound compassion. It helps us see that insecure behaviors are not character flaws or malicious intent. They are learned survival strategies, developed in childhood to cope with environments that were less than ideal. This perspective can soften blame and judgment, both for our partners and for ourselves. It allows us to approach relational challenges with more empathy and kindness, recognizing that we are all simply trying to feel safe and connected in the ways we learned how. This compassion creates the emotional safety needed for both individuals to begin exploring new, healthier ways of relating to one another. Ultimately, these attachment styles matter because they offer a roadmap toward healing and growth. They show us where our wounds are, but they also point the way toward security. By identifying our own insecure patterns, we can begin the work of challenging our old beliefs about ourselves and others. We can learn to regulate our emotions, communicate our needs more effectively, and choose partners who can meet us in a secure and loving way. The journey toward what is called earned security is possible for everyone, regardless of their starting point. Understanding these 4 styles is not about labeling or limiting ourselves. It is about liberating ourselves to create the secure, fulfilling connections we all deserve. Attachment styles are not static traits that exist in a vacuum. They come alive in the dynamic interplay between partners. The specific combination of 2 individuals' styles plays a critical role in shaping the harmony or discord within a relationship. For instance, when 2 securely attached people form a partnership, they often create a stable and resilient bond, capable of navigating conflict with mutual respect and effective problem-solving. A secure partner can also have a profoundly positive effect on an insecure partner. By providing consistent reassurance, emotional availability, and patience, a secure individual can act as a stabilizing force, helping an anxious or avoidant partner to gradually move toward greater security over time. This is known as developing earned security through a corrective relational experience. However, certain pairings can create predictable cycles of conflict and dissatisfaction. The most classic and widely studied of these is the anxious-avoidant trap. This dynamic occurs when a person with an anxious-preoccupied style pairs with someone who has a dismissive-avoidant style. The anxious partner, craving closeness and reassurance, will often make bids for connection. This very behavior triggers the avoidant partner's fear of enmeshment, causing them to withdraw and create distance. This withdrawal, in turn, activates the anxious partner's deepest fears of abandonment, leading them to pursue connection even more intensely. This creates a painful, self-perpetuating cycle of pursuit and distancing that fuels profound insecurity and leaves both partners feeling chronically misunderstood and unfulfilled. Conflict resolution is another area where these attachment patterns become highly visible. Secure partners are able to engage in disagreements without viewing them as a threat to the entire relationship. They can express their own perspective while also hearing their partners, working toward a compromise that respects both individuals. For insecurely attached people, however, conflict can feel like a life-or-death struggle. An anxious person might become highly emotional and escalate the conflict in a desperate attempt to feel heard and re-establish connection. In contrast, an avoidant person will often shut down, emotionally disengage, or physically leave the situation to avoid the discomfort of intense emotions, leaving the issue unresolved and their partner feeling abandoned. Understanding these interactive dynamics is crucial for breaking free from destructive patterns. It moves the focus from blaming a partner's behavior, "you're too needy" or "you're too cold," to understanding the underlying attachment needs that are driving the interaction. When a couple can recognize that they are caught in an attachment-driven cycle, they can begin to see the pattern itself as the enemy, rather than each other. This shared understanding allows them to step outside of the reactive dance and start communicating about their deeper fears and needs. It is the first step toward finding a new way to connect that feels safe and satisfying for both people involved in the relationship. Communication is the heartbeat of relationships, shaped by our attachment style. Secure individuals communicate openly and listen with empathy, creating a safe space for both partners. They use clear, honest dialogue to resolve misunderstandings and deepen intimacy. Insecure styles, however, disrupt this flow. Dismissive-avoidant partners often deflect or avoid emotional conversations, keeping things surface level. Anxious-preoccupied partners may overwhelm with emotion, seeking reassurance rather than understanding. These patterns can create distance or reinforce fears, especially in moments of vulnerability. Attachment style also shapes physical intimacy. Secure partners blend emotional closeness with sexuality, fostering mutual satisfaction. Anxious individuals may use sex for reassurance, while avoidant partners may separate sex from emotion. Recognizing these patterns helps couples approach intimacy with greater compassion. Understanding your own and your partner's attachment needs is key to building trust and connection. With awareness, communication and intimacy can become sources of healing, not conflict. Attachment styles are not destiny, they can change. The brain's adaptability means we can move towards secure attachment at any age. The first step is self-awareness. Noticing your patterns and triggers in relationships. Ask yourself, do I fear abandonment? Do I push people away? Do I repeat painful dynamics? Learning about attachment gives you a framework to understand and shift these patterns. Change isn't about erasing your past, but integrating it and learning new ways to connect. Anxious individuals can practice self-soothing and build self-worth. Avoidant individuals can learn to tolerate vulnerability and value healthy closeness. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Believing in your capacity to grow is essential. It takes courage and patience, but the reward is authentic, trusting relationships. You're not bound by your history. The path to security is open to anyone willing to walk it. There are clear paths to earned security. Therapy, like emotionally focused therapy, offers a safe space to explore and reframe attachment patterns. A skilled therapist helps you process old wounds and practice healthier ways of relating. Mindfulness and emotional regulation are vital tools. Mindfulness teaches you to observe emotions without reacting impulsively, creating space for better choices. Psychoeducation, learning about attachment, empowers you to recognize and shift your patterns. Sharing this knowledge with a partner creates a team approach to growth. These methods work best together: therapy for support, mindfulness for self-regulation, education for insight. The goal is to meet your needs in healthy ways, not through old reactive habits. For example, anxious individuals can learn self-reassurance. This internal work lays the foundation for secure, satisfying relationships. Change happens one conscious choice at a time. Real-world relationships are powerful agents of healing. Supportive, secure connections, romantic, platonic, or therapeutic, can rewrite old attachment scripts. Consistent empathy and care challenge negative beliefs about trust and worthiness. A secure partner can calmly meet anxiety or avoidance, offering stability and gentle encouragement. Over time, these positive experiences help rewire the brain for security. Healing doesn't require a perfect partner. Two committed individuals can grow together. Learning about attachment as a couple helps break reactive cycles and fosters mutual support. The most crucial corrective experience is building a secure relationship with yourself. Practice self-compassion, validate your feelings, and become your own safe base. Inner security reduces dependence on others for validation. This self-assurance attracts healthier relationships. Healing starts within and radiates outward. Attachment styles are shaped by culture and gender norms. Collectivist cultures may view closeness and interdependence as healthy, not anxious. Definitions of independence and emotional expression vary worldwide. Gender roles also influence attachment. Men are often taught to suppress emotion, reinforcing avoidant traits. Women may be encouraged to prioritize relationships, amplifying anxious tendencies. These are social scripts, not biological facts. Cultural and gender expectations can create misunderstanding in relationships. Recognizing these influences helps couples depersonalize conflict and foster empathy. Our attachment patterns are shaped by more than just family. They're influenced by society's stories. Awareness of these forces allows for more authentic connection. Question what's truly yours and what's been shaped by the world around you. Digital technology has transformed dating and relationships, amplifying attachment patterns. Anxious individuals may find online ambiguity and delayed responses triggering, fueling worry. The digital world offers endless reassurance seeking and endless anxiety. Avoidant individuals may prefer the distance of screens, using ghosting or endless options to avoid intimacy. Online dating's superficiality and constant choice can destabilize everyone, making secure attachment harder to build. Fearful-avoidant individuals may feel both drawn to and threatened by digital connections. Navigating this landscape requires self-awareness and clear boundaries. Communicate openly, resist worst-case thinking, and seek genuine, consistent connections. Use technology as a tool, not the foundation of your relationship. In a world of fleeting interactions, the need for safety, consistency, and vulnerability is more important than ever. Attachment theory offers a roadmap for lasting connection, even in the digital age. In conclusion, attachment theory offers us more than just a set of psychological labels. It provides a profound and compassionate framework for understanding the deepest currents of human connection. It illuminates the invisible threads that link our past to our present, showing how our earliest bonds with caregivers sculpt the expectations, fears, and desires that we carry into our adult relationships. From the steady calm of the secure style to the turbulent push-pull of the fearful-avoidant, each pattern tells a story. It is a story of a child's ingenious adaptation to their environment, a strategy developed to seek love and ensure survival in the best way they knew how. Recognizing the logic behind these styles is the first step toward rewriting the parts of the story that no longer serve us. While an insecure attachment style can be the source of significant relational dysfunction and deep emotional pain, it is not a life sentence. Instead, it can be viewed as a roadmap for healing, pointing directly to the areas within ourselves that need attention, care, and compassion. The knowledge of these patterns gives us power. It allows us to move from unconscious reaction to conscious choice. We can learn to recognize the activation of our attachment system, the surge of anxiety, the impulse to withdraw, and meet that moment with new awareness. This is the heart of personal growth, transforming old wounds into new wisdom and building a more secure and loving relationship with ourselves first. The journey toward a more secure attachment style is one of hope and possibility, available to anyone willing to embark upon it. Through the dedicated work of introspection, the support of therapeutic guidance, the practice of mindfulness, and the courage to engage in nurturing relationships, profound change is possible. Individuals can cultivate what is known as earned security, building an internal foundation of safety and self-worth that allows them to foster relationships based on trust, mutual intimacy, and true emotional well-being. This path is not always easy, but it is one of the most rewarding journeys a person can undertake, leading to deeper and more authentic connections. In a modern world often marked by increasing isolation and fragmented, superficial connections, understanding the dynamics of attachment is not merely an academic pursuit. It is a vital tool for survival and flourishing. It is the key to cultivating healthier, more resilient, and more meaningful relationships in every area of our lives. Whether in the context of romantic love, deep friendship, or family bonds, the journey towards secure attachment is ultimately a journey home. It is a return to a deeper and more compassionate connection with the people who matter most, and most importantly, with our own authentic selves. If you found this content helpful, I would appreciate your support by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with anyone whom you feel could benefit. Thank you for watching. Be and live in love and peace.